Fans of the iconic soap Neighbours are up in arms with revelations boxes of props have been sent to second-hand community stores all around Melbourne. Now, it's upset some who say the props should be in a museum, and others, like my next guest, who say the props could have been used to raise funds for charities, specifically those helping out-of-work actors. Promoter and producer Maria Grande has been hosting some big Neighbours events recently where props auctioned off raised $15,000 for the Victorian Actors Benevolent Trust. Maria, welcome to McKnight Tonight.
Oh, good evening. How are you, Rob?
Good, thank you. What was your first reaction when you heard these props had been dumped at these charity shops?
I was a bit shocked, to be quite honest. I was a little bit shocked. I thought that there would have been a little bit of extra time for them to really think clearly about how it was going to be used. But I did speak to some of the Neighbours people, specifically Jason Herbison, the executive producer, and there really wasn't any time. He did explain to me that they just didn't have any time to store it or anything like that, basically. So he said that there was a small team tasked with managing the clearance of these items. There wasn't any storage options. They did also give some of the fans an opportunity via their Instagram account to secure some of those items. So some lucky fans got some items anyway, that, school uniforms, bags, stuff like that. So I think that they did the best they could with such limited time, but it poses the question: were they hanging on to it in the hopes that something would happen and the show would get resurrected and it'd get picked up? Maybe that's why they were hanging on to stuff. We don't know.
Well, it does show they hung up onto all these props the first time the show got axed, or officially the second time, but the first time happened at Channel 7. So it says to me this is the end of the road. And now the reason you're upset about this is because you recently raised $15,000 for charity by selling off props from the show. What is that money being used for?
Okay, so basically, when we had the green light given to us to host a Neighbours event, we turned it into a 3-day event, which was absolutely amazing, super successful. We managed to secure some items directly from the production offices of Neighbours. Jason Herbison actually was very good. He gave the green light for some of those items to be given to us. We had a fully signed script for the 40th anniversary. We had a print of some of the cast that sat in the production offices, and we did auctions over 2 days, over the Saturday and the Sunday.
And this is at these big Neighbours events you have, right?
Yeah. So basically, they're events, a TV show reunion. It's more or less a fan event. So it's a meet and greet for all the fans. The fans are all itching to secure some of these items. Some of them we popped them on Facebook just to let the fans know exactly what was going to go under the hammer. So some of them knew exactly what they were going to bid on. Many of the fans travelled all the way from the UK to attend these events. So
wow.
It's a pretty big production, but as I said, super successful. The funds that were raised over the course of the 2-day event, the Saturday and the Sunday, because the Friday night was a trivia night, was in total $14,530. And my UK partner and I, that run Partners in Crime, Barry and I, decided to bring it up to $15,000. So we donated $15,000 to the Victorian Actors Benevolent Trust. And look, the trust is run by volunteers, and they they help everyone in the industry that is down on their luck, basically has had no work for months, years. The industry, the volunteers, it's all funded through donations and fundraising events like trivia nights that I've attended. Everything they do is confidential, which is pretty good. Look, the arts is not a lucrative industry here in Australia. So, many are without that support, and they often turn to the Victorian Actors Benevolent Trust, those in Victoria anyway. There's a benevolent trust in each state add to, but the one we work with is the Victorian Actors Benevolent Trust. We donated the money to them, so that'll go to some really needy people in the industry who've been out of work, who need possibly need surgery, possibly need help with paying their rent. Maybe I don't know exactly where the funds go to, but it does actually help a lot of them in the industry. Respite care, grocery vouchers, all those sorts of things, just the basic necessities that we take for granted, and they're just unable to sort of meet those payments. So the trust does a lot of work, and it's run by some pretty awesome people.
Yeah, I think people might be surprised that actors often live close to the poverty line once their career is over. Yes, some might do very well out of it, but there can be very high highs and there can be very low lows. And then you see stories on news websites about such and such is driving an Uber because they need to survive. I think people don't realise this.
Yeah, it's exactly. And, look, these things happen. And I think that the small part that we play in our events can do some good. And if we can direct some much needed funds to the Victorian Actors Benevolent Trust, then that's pretty awesome. We've done it before in the past, but we've never actually managed to get 15,000. So as you can imagine, the Neighbours memorabilia would fetch a pretty penny. And had we have
And this is the big issue, right?
Yeah.
This is the issue, because you had that memorabilia, which helped you get to that 15,000, and now it's all gone.
Yeah. And, that was only a few pieces. It was only a few pieces that we managed to get. We also put in some of our own. So we had some framed picture. We got some photos signed by the cast. We popped them in frames. We auctioned them off. There was some general memorabilia like album covers and things like that. And, and it wasn't really that many items. So you can imagine some of these items, how much they would have fetched had we have known a little bit ahead of time. But, I am told by, the people who basically got like 24, 48 hours to clear that out, that there was no time. So they just basically organised trucks and had them sent to the op shops, the one in Forest Hill, there's one in Chapel Street, there's one in Moorabbin, I'm told. But I went to the one in Forest Hill and, put my name on a waiting list like everybody else.
So there's a waiting list. Geez, are you planning any more of those events?
Yes, so we're looking at a new date for September, October next year. So 2026, we'll be doing another Neighbours event. We've already got, maybe half a dozen of the Neighbours actors who want to attend, which is awesome. It's a great opportunity for them to meet their fans, network, catch up with each other. There's lots of bonuses to the events. We've also got a Legends event up on the Gold Coast in February, and obviously we'll direct some of the auction funds. We'll direct that to the Benevolent Trust in Queensland. We've had events in Sydney before. We've got a prisoner event in Melbourne in February, so obviously that will get directed to the VABT, any auctions. For anyone who's interested in wanting to come to our events and support the actors, support the shows, keep the spirit of the show alive, and direct some much needed funds to the Benevolent Trust, just go to www.partnersincrime.com.au and you can get onto our website and help us and, have a great time at the events, meet the stars, reminisce about the show. It's very nostalgic feeling. The fans love it.
I love that. Partners in Crime. That's what we've got to Google. Did you say .com or .com.au?
.com.au.
Perfect. Maria, thanks. Good luck with those events. Thanks for joining us on McKnight Tonight.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Fun, insightful interviews from a washed-up producer with nothing to lose. Night tonight, McKnight Tonight, McKnight Tonight. It's good night.